Good evening, everyone. I hope you all have had a wonderful weekend and a good start to the week as it is Monday. Monday set the tone for how the rest of the week is going to go. So I hope you guys got after it and traded well. If you did not trade today, I hope you did something to start the week off right. Going to be breaking down the E-mini futures once again. Going to go over our daily, our weekly, and our monthly time frames. Just got to give you guys an update on what occurred or what those are looking like, and then obviously get into the more nitty gritty technical analysis of the day. If you guys do enjoy the content, please leave a like and subscribe. If you are new, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and look at our 30-minute time frame. That is what I look at the most. I highly recommend you guys looking at 30-minute time frames to better uh, or have better trade location and just overall higher risk reward trades. So this is our 30-minute chart that we're looking at. I use bar chart, and then the lines that you see on here are my value high, value low. This yellow line here is point of control. We get this off here. This yellow line right here is point of control or POC, and then you have the opening up here. And all point of control is just an area where price or time frames have traded back and forth through that price multiple times. It's the highest volume, highest amount of times people have traded that price. So today's point of control was right around the 4011 level. And then, yeah, and then the red line here is where we open. So let's go ahead and get into it. The opening was a pretty big open. We opened up with a gap above the previous day's high, which was right back here. Previous day's high right here. We opened up above that with a pretty decent sized gap, and then tried to push up a little bit, got ahead of ourselves, and then we began to roll back over and slowly fill in the gap. By taking out the previous day's high, we put ourselves into a 3 day balance. So we are 1 to 3 day balance. Now we're going to be trading inside this 3 day range, with the low of the range being 39.3750 and the high of the range being 40.3950. That is how we're going to be trading this area. So you can expect a lot of chop inside this unless we get some more short covering and momentum buying to break us out of this range and continue to push us up higher. But today's price action was kind of hard to read. We did a lot of trading back and forth, a lot of choppy action, and not a lot of volume. Today was one of the smallest ranges we've had. I think it's like the sixth. I think Paul said it's the sixth smallest range that we've had all year long, and it is indeed a pretty small range. Low volume, slow as molasses when we began to drip down lower, and sellers began to take control of the day. Um, you kind of had an idea that we may fill the gap because we've have not really held many gaps throughout this year. Almost all gaps have been filled. I think we're only holding 3 gaps throughout this entire year. So, with that being said, chances of taking back this gap was pretty good, but we did it in a slow, grind down fashion, and it was kind of hard to catch. Basically, we had the open up here. B period opens up, which is a second 30-minute time frame, rolls over, takes out that 30-minute time frame's low, so it runs some stops, and then we began to push down lower. We open with what is called a set of single prints, a trend day down, and now we have an area of resistance or where sellers could be located. And I'm gonna identify that right there. Boom. And now we have an area or an intraday gap is how you can look at it. Intraday gap. Oh my goodness. Could we please work? All right. So I'm just going to highlight that kind of red. Just kind of identify that we have a set of single prints there. So a set of single prints just acts as an intraday gap. Just kind of shows emotional trading one way or the other. Now we began to roll over in B period. So we start the one time frame down, and now we have the initial balance set. So what is the initial balance? Initial balance is the first two time frames or the first hour of the day. Its range. So from A's high to B's low would be the whole initial balance. So what I'm highlighting here and here would be the initial balance, right? So whenever you have the initial balance set, you look for the next time frame, C period, or the third 30-minute time frame of the day, to either take out the high or the low of that range, basically break it out of a balance or out of a range to one side or the other, and typically you'll have continuation in that direction. Now, a lot of times, especially with how emotional this trading has been recently, we've taken out both sides, but usually we get follow through for a little bit afterwards once we take it out. And as you can see here in C period, holding that gap, that intraday gap, and that set of single prints, basically just meaning that B period was the only time frame to trade through that range right there that I've highlighted. Then C period rolls over, takes out B's low, and creates another set of single prints, taking back for more of the gap. Takes back more of the gap, pushes down lower, and initially it is a large set of single prints. It looks kind of like this prior to D period opening up. So initially your set of single prints looks like this, pretty large gap, right? Intraday gap into a daily gap is how it appears. Hopefully you're following along. Then in D period, if you're just paying attention to the right side of my screen, D period opens up, takes out C's low. We fill the gap, attempt to push down a little bit lower to create another trend day down or another set of single prints, but we do not get that. We begin to rotate back up, and this set of single prints begins to fill in slightly. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to bring this up. And now that's where our set of single prints start, or they begin at D's high now, because now we've taken back some of that trend. We began to push back up and slowly grind this day away. D, E, F, G, we slowly began to grind back into those areas. But if you look here on our 1 minute chart, you can see that each time we pushed up into this area, it acted as an area of resistance. In D period, you could have taken a short against it, sold against that set of single prints. Same thing in E period. Could have sold against that set of single prints as we create a new, got near the low of the day again. Same thing in F period. Could have sold against that set of single prints, rotated down lower. G period, same thing, pushed into that set of single prints. Now, once we got above it in H, you kind of began to expect, all right, short covering is beginning to happen as we start to have more supply. As we begin to have more supply in H, or not supply, as supply begins to dry up and demand kind of starts to step in, as we begin to have more demand, and H period was a reversal bar taking out G's low and G's high, we can expect to fill the next set of single prints. So as it was an area to kind of lean against, to sell against, becomes now a target to fill to the upside as supply begins to dry out. So H period, once we popped it in I, we fill that set of single prints. It no longer is an area to sell against. And then pretty much we grind it up higher the rest of the day just to reverse an L period and close back near the lows. Pretty hard and emotional trading today. Hard to read, emotional price action. But there's plenty of good opportunities. We have a poor low down here, E and F, meaning that supply ran out down here at these lows, and then we began to grind back up to the open. We ended up with value higher, today's high, today's low, and an 8 wide point of control, but nothing to carry forward. So as far as reference points tomorrow, all you'll have to lean on is the day's high and the day's low. Now, one trade that I did take that I did well on because I got hurt early in the day, and then I began to short during these time frames in F period and in G period, and once in H period, and each time they backed off and I got paid against that set of single prints that was here in C period that I was showing you on the 1 minute chart. Each time we pushed up into it was a good opportunity to sell, and that's exactly what I did. market generated information was telling me to sell, so I sold. That's why having these things marked on your 30-minute chart is a good idea. Now, once we fill that set of single prints in B period, from B period in I, and we pushed up, I wanted to short against where value high was. Now, value high was right around 20. We also had VWAP right around, at the time, was right around 1920. So I wanted to short or sell against that and then use the opening as my out, kind of expecting an afternoon rally high. Now, usually to have a textbook afternoon rally high, you want to have a set of single prints either above or below. And what we were expecting was us to roll over and kind of set new lows on the day. And if this was a strong market to sell in, that's exactly what would have happened. But that's not the case today. I did make money on the trade as we were expecting to pull back to this wide point of control down here. I sold an I against value high to roll over using the open as my out. So I would have been risking a few points to the upside, but was wanting this thing to roll over to get back to the point of control, which is down here at 11. So I began to sell around 20, and my out would have been down here at 11. As this thing began to roll over, I began to add to my position, and it came into about 14, 15, and I took it all off because we started to have a little bit of stoppage, and I did not know if they would get back to the point of control. And good thing I did get out because in J period, even though we got to the point of control and we reversed back up pretty heavily. So good thing I got out of my trade. Took it off. No afternoon rally high though. Just the day's high and the day's low. Now let's go ahead and mark our destinations here. Go ahead and mark the destinations. So we got the day's high up here, 34.25. And I always recommend you guys do your homework after the market, right? You always want to see what the market did, kind of review it, whether it's by watching my video or somebody else's video or just doing it on your own. It can be very beneficial in the future when you are looking. You kind of identify these things as it is happening, and you can kind of see, all right, this is the high of day, this is the low of day. We can kind of take trades against those areas. Same thing with the single prints. Take trades against those single prints early on in the day, and they worked out really well until we began to run out of supply, and obviously this thing grinded up higher before closing near the lows. Today's low of day, 4,025. Also, I had a long down here at the 4,000 level, but the way it was looking, it didn't look like it was going to. I took it at around 4,001 and came up to 4,005 and I got out of the position. And man, was that a buy because we just grinded up to the high, 20 points higher. I could have had that trade taken off. Granted, I probably wouldn't have held it to that high. I probably would have held it to, back to the point of control, which was an 11. But good risk reward against that 4,000 level, as it is a very visual area that most traders will take a position against or get out of their short if they began to short for the gap fill. So, yep, high of day, low of day, that's all you go out with. So as far as destinations go, and as far as trading goes for tomorrow, if we open up inside today's range, you can expect to either take out the day's low. If we get the day's low, we have nothing but a vacuum to the downside, nothing to lean against. As you'll begin to take out these stops, which would be around each one of these candles lows, and you'll just rotate down to the low of 39.3750, which is our balance low, 3-day balance low. Now, if we open up inside and grind back up higher, you'll have to take out today's high, 40.3425, and then 40.3950 will be your next destination, and that'll be the top of our 3-day balance. And then after that, there isn't anything but a vacuum for another 30 points to the upside at 40.7375. That'll be your next area of resistance. And then above that, 4,076.50 to 4,085, where the single prints are, and that is an area that will become a target if we have enough demand to fill. You could potentially take a short against it the first time, But if we began to get any direction in that, or any movement in that direction, they will fill. Then obviously the next destination is the high a day from that sixth at 41.1950. All right, let's look at our larger time frames and then get you guys out of here. Once again, I do appreciate you guys sticking around. If you've made it this far, please leave a like. All right, let's look at our monthly time frame. Once again, my mouse is broken, so I have to keep clicking. All right, so monthly, we are just in a nice little 4-month balance. 4-month balance, we got near our balance low, 4,000 or 300. Excuse me, 37.8850 was our 4-month balance low. Our 4-month balance high is 42.0850. Just trading in this range as we consolidate and chop around inside here on a monthly, weekly, and daily basis. Now we have an extreme monthly balance high of 43.2750, extreme monthly balance low of 35.02. So if we were to take out this high, the next big level for me to take to want to get above is the 43.2750 level. Same thing for the downside. The extreme here was last year's low at 35.02. If we take out this month's low and we got near that, I would expect to find some short covering and some buyers step in this market as they would look to fade against this this low here, as it was pretty significant low and resulted in a 3 to 4 month run up. All right, now let's look at our weekly. You can see that our weekly is trading inside of this range as well. You see our weekly is trading inside this range, but we are in a 4-week balance. Balance of 40, let's see, 40.8225, balance low of 38.4075. So our weekly is in a nice little 4-week balance. Look at this lower trend line here, lower high trend line. Buyers want to get above that because that is exactly what is starting to develop, kind of like it did last year, right? We began to set lower highs this week, or this year. We're kind of starting to do the same thing, starting to set lower highs in the market. So buyers want to get above this high, our balance high, in this lower trend line high here. We also back tested last year's lower high line and bounced the first few times, right? Let's look at our daily. Daily has now come into a balance. We were one time frame and down 2 days in a row, held the 200, got back above the 20, and look at this, testing the 50-day moving average. So you can see our daily's traveling back and forth in between this weekly balance, but now we've set our own daily balance, and I'm going to mark that here on the charts for us. So our balance high would be 39.50, 39.50, balance high. And then we have our balance low down here at 37.50. 37.50. Balance high. Now that is just our trading range of 4,039.50 to 3,937.50. So you can expect some more chop inside this range until we get some more market generated information to break us out of this area. Once again, rejection of the 50-day moving average. And the way that I'm seeing it is that these moving averages are going to begin to converge. The longer that we are in a monthly balance, these moving averages will begin to converge and then will result in a much larger move once we come out of the monthly balance, because these moving averages will begin to curl in that direction that we break out of. So that'll be something to watch in the future. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like. We'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.